ready and count down with the plugs.
Hey, welcome everybody. Today we're going to we're having our live show 1 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday, and our guest is Ken, and Ken is actually a African. Well, he's from Africa, and he's a film director, and he's right here in the States. And we have his Instagram page pulled up, Sun People Productions. So really happy to and honored to have him on the show today. So we're just waiting for him to kick in. But we're glad to have everybody that's currently watching this. If you're curious, what is The Plugs about? Ultimately, this is a podcast to share inspiration. It's a real good friend, Chris of mine.
Hey, everybody.
By trade, we're both recruiters, and what that is someone for a company. If they need you to recruit someone, they're looking for someone special. They hire people like us to go and find them. So we do a good job at finding other people that do a good job at inspiring other people. And that's what you'll find here on The Plugs, and that's why we're here to meet our guest today, Ken. He's the film director of Sun People Productions. He has so much to share with us. He has a brand new book. Well, I mean, it's not as brand new as you think, but it's brand new to me, and it's about his story of spending about 3 years in Israel, and it's quite special. A lot of awesome things in there. So we're just waiting for him to kick in. It's a little after 1 right now. One thing we're excited about with The Plugs right now is we just ordered some new stickers, okay? And we got a bunch of them, and we plan on putting them around town, send you guys some. If you want some stickers, let us know. We can do our best to send you a few. We got like over 1,000. And ultimately, we just want to spread the word and let people know that there's an inspirational radio broadcast channel to go out there and watch, and some place to be inspired with cooking or film directing or whatever. Maybe it's just preaching something, sharing your message, whatever it may be. That's what this place is about. We've met people that have died and went to heaven a few times. We've met people that almost committed suicide on the beach at around 19 years old, straight up had a knife in their hand, they're ready to kill themselves. We have met some professional woman that, I mean, my God, she's doing wonders in the recruiting industry and changing lives, and she had a rough time growing up, and so that's what this is about. If you had a hard time growing up, you're not going to let that stop you. You can stop into The Plugs and you can grab some inspiration for the day. Not too long ago, we had a man named Gregory Martin on the show. You want to tell us a little bit about him, Chris? I'm just talking away. I'm so excited. Chris, why don't you tell us about Greg, man?
Gregory's a chef from Dallas, Texas, and he does some amazing work. You guys got to check him out on Instagram. His handle is Miro Chef 2018, so MERO Chef 2018. Make sure you guys check him out. He's a chef down in Dallas, Texas, and he does a lot of work with underground restaurants. He's done live cooking. He helps folks that need help with, say, like your recipe book, if you need help with that. He's good from, stovetop all the way to the oven and pastries. He has, a little bit of a handle on just about everything. So make sure you guys check him out. And if you're curious to see what's going on with The Plugs, check out the website. We're happy to share these stickers, and eventually these shirts will be available for you guys. Shirts and hats and, other merch. So be on the lookout for that. theplugspodcast.com, where you'll find out, what's going on with us as far as merch and what's going on with us as far as new episodes and interest.
Well, I think that Ken has arrived. Yeah. Oh my God, this is great. This is awesome.
Oh, no.
But hey, man, welcome. How's your Sunday?
My Sunday's amazing, actually. I just got through doing a really cool bike ride through Brooklyn.
Wow, nice.
Maryland, too. What's going on? How you doing? Thank you.
Hey.
And P-Cap
Hey, so
Bob. Hi. Um,
this is Chris, my partner.
Hey,
it's
man.
a pleasure to meet you. I'm Ken Ngwa,
Nice to meet you.
here in Brooklyn.
Hey, I'm from up north, not specifically Brooklyn, but I was born in the Bronx and I moved to Jersey very, very young. So uh grew up in Jersey, but yeah, very familiar with the New York life
Heck,
and the hustle and the bustle.
every day.
I miss that pace, but I love Jacksonville, Florida. I love the weather. I can't lie. I don't miss the snow.
No, I can't even fault you on that. Like, luckily today was such a beautiful day. It's like really warm outside right now. And truth be told, the only reason I'm wearing a hat is obviously in the middle of the pandemic. There are no barbers, so yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna give my barber a quick shout out. He blessed me the other day, man. I felt like a new person walking out of there.
Yeah, looking at you both look like you're pretty much like, kept up well and like
Well, this guy cuts his own hair since I don't even know when.
Oh yeah.
pretty bad here. Seriously, you walk out of my apartment building and you look at some of these guys and it's like, yeah, we're going through a tough time. Like just for this interview, I actually shaved. Before this, I had like the whole Castaway thing going, and it was just
No judgment here. It's quarantine life right now, so
quarantine life
come as you are.
for real. First, I want to say thank you guys so much for like wanting to talk to me at all about like filmmaking and art, and I look forward to this podcast.
No, absolutely, and thank you for taking the time to join us on the weekend. We really, really appreciate that.
I mean, our show is about featuring guests like you that have. I mean, for me, I'm looking at you and I'm like, wow, he's done it all in a way, in a certain level, And for you to share where you've been, that hey, you're normal, you're just like anyone else.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's what this is about, because a lot of folks are like, okay, I want to film direct, or I have a passion. How do I get there? And I know I spoke with you a little bit on the phone the other day, and I wanted to speak to you so much more. You're really such a gentleman and so positive to speak to. But you spoke about a book that you got going on. You spoke about some internal drivers, that we can kick into. I believe that you got a new documentary coming up, and you just have so much other wonderful things that I guess the universe, God has used you, to share these people culture. And I'm really excited to introduce all this to the world.
I want to say thank you so much, and yeah, to be honest, like we want to talk about two things. We want to talk about like financial freedom and personal happiness. These are two things which we all find we all try to get to in life. And I have to be completely honest. Like as far as like being financially free, it's a crazy balancing act where sometimes you're like, wow, I just got a lot of money for this. And then other times it's like, I don't have money for this, but I love what I'm doing. But I truly believe that, the journey which I'm on, as long as you do what you love and you're helping people and you're not harming anyone and it's something beautiful, the universe will take care of itself. Nothing on this earth has ever told me that, that if you do the right thing and if you put out positivity, that eventually good things won't come back, in whatever aspect that may be. Like good things always come back if you put out the positivity. And that's truly what I believe, like, because it's like, as far as my artistic journey, like I did a lot of things artistically. I worked for as a production assistant on HBO's The Deuce, the second season. I did this thing called LA by the Roof. That's like the English language name, but it was a documentary about expensive homes in Los Angeles for French television, which also I believe it still airs on Air France. So if you have to take an Air France flight, you probably get a chance to see my documentary. I worked on that. I've done countless things as a production assistant, a mic operator, boom mic operator, crane operator, grip, key grip, like whatever you have on a film set. I want to learn the position, and I sort of like become a jack of all trades in different aspects of it, because it's like you're supposed to have one specialty, but then I became a guerrilla filmmaker because I'm like, what does that do? What does that do? It's just like, how do you do that? And like, I don't want to be like a huge name. I'm not a name dropper. It's not even a huge name. Well, he's a huge name. He's a great, amazing guy. But there's this guy called Eugene Core, and he directed he directed a lot of episodes of Miami Vice in the 80s. And I was working in tech at the time, and he came in, and he was actually renting a co-working office in the same building I did, and it was raining outside one day, and we spent like 3 hours, and he was just like talking about his experiences working on Miami Vice, his experiences at cinema, what he was doing on this new documentary in Cuba, and it was just like, meeting him was my first battery, where it was just like okay, I'm normal, because there are people out there like me who like the kind of things I do and who want to be creative and who just like, because there's no secular. He wasn't Cuban, but he wanted to do a documentary about Cuban baseball because it was something that interested him. And, it was just really, really cool to encounter that. And then I just kept on going. And you get these little batteries as you go. These people you meet who are your charge, who are your batteries, who are just like, wow, you called me out of the blue and then you said this, or you offered me this word of guidance when I like had a moment of like weakness, or I wasn't really feeling at my best. And you get that. And then when you get those moments, you hold on to that and you say, okay, I can do this for another month. I can do this for another 6 months.
Yeah. No, wow. I love that. And the way you explained it, it ties into something I brought up. I think I brought it up a couple times doing these podcasts, of being mindful of who your friends are and who you engage with, because those people are a reflection of yourself, right? In some fashion. And another thing is, if you're hanging around the wrong crowd, it's easy for you to get stuck and stagnant. If you're around people that aren't progressing, that aren't pushing you, that aren't getting you out of your comfort zone, it's hard to grow. And that conversation you had with that gentleman, I'm sure you felt like a light switch went off, like, whoa,
I'm normal.
I can do this.
I'm the kind of
right? Yeah, I can do
art I
this.
listen to, the kind of music, the kind of things I want to create, because there was no sequitur as far as like him wanting to make this documentary. It's just something that he felt inside that he wanted to do, and he was super creative. And I mean, aside from Miami Vice, he directed the Prefontaine movie for HBO, which was like, so there's no sequitur to these things which he's doing, but it's all in the realm, and it's him exposing the world to his creativity. And that's what I got from Eugene. And like, for me, it's really important to surround yourself with like really cool people. And if you can't, then you just have to, like I say, back away from people who are negative, and just try to surround yourself with like-minded energy. Whereas like being artistic, I've lost friends. I have lost friends, and it's not necessarily like it's been like a falling out. It's more along the lines of like, hey, I don't really want to go out and drink today because I kind of want to like watch this documentary because it's something interesting, and it might be something where I could learn something and want to move forward. And then you can't say it like that, because it makes it seem like, oh, you're trying to better yourself, and it's just that your passions change. Or, hey, I don't want to, like, it's cool to get drunk and stuff. Like, I love to go out and party and still have a good time. But then nowadays, it's more along the lines of, damn, there's a History Channel documentary, and I'm interested in maybe doing a documentary. I kind of want to watch it and then do like a breakdown, and then see what subjects they touched on, and in what order they touched on them, and how they delivered the message, and maybe how I can, I watch documentaries and I contact the documentary filmmaker and I ask them questions. Like, so it's stuff like that. And that's not necessarily how you like keep normal friends. I would say like who like normal stuff is, but who just go out and go to bars and just chill and hang. Yeah, I do that too, but not so much now. More so my free time, trying to do stuff which is furthering. You know what I mean? Like, so that makes me kind of like distant, I think, to a lot of my friends. There's this meetup where there's this director who's going to be speaking. I want to meet this director, and I don't know what'll come of it. Maybe nothing, but he's a really cool actor, so I'm gonna go there rather than go do that thing, you know.
Yeah.
Now,
Yep.
I love what he said there because what I got from that is your passion to do your work is a lot greater than your passion is to party or have a good time. Like I can party less, but I want to work on my stuff more, and so it's almost not even a sacrifice.
It's really not
It's,
a sacrifice at this point. I mean, dude. Don't get me wrong. I'm still down to have a good time. It's just that there has to be a purpose to it. It can't just be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Like, you know, yeah, we went out and we got drunk, but did you learn anything? What did you get from that? Like previously, like I guess I've gone through that phase already where now everything I do, I just try to make it productive. It's gotten like almost like a razor sharp focus. I'm always posting stuff on Instagram, post occasionally on YouTube. I try to do a new music video like once every 2-3 weeks, and with like a new artist. Um, if they have if they have budgets where they're willing to play with, like let me have creativity. Like let's say they have less money and they want to shoot a video. Okay, I'll do it for that price, but now I have to have an artistic voice because we're doing it at that price. Now I get to show what I want to show, you know, because before it's just like you're a hired director. And yeah, we're going to shoot the music video. You're going to do this and do that. And I shoot most African and indigenous content, rap music. I've actually been doing quite a little bit of rap now. But but my passion is just like shooting stuff about Africa, South America, things like that. Thing happened to do with the diaspora, not and pretty much immigrant groups, underrepresented minorities across the board. Doesn't matter where. Like something about Japanese people. I want to do something about Hungarian people, Greek people. Any community which I've encountered and I've had a chance to interact with, Israelis. Like, let's talk about this because this is what I learned from these experiences. You know.
and see, that's the thing. I mean, I feel like a lot of us, you know, we have that passion for something and we want to do it. And you spoke to me about internal drivers. So talk to us more about that. Like, what, you know, a lot of us are stuck. You know, we can't get past a point. Like, we're living a dream up here in our head. We have the brain, we have colors, we've done so much work here, but we've actually never done it. But we feel like we've done it, and we're almost living a lot in our own head. But and it's sad, and we wake up and we're like, wait a minute, I've done nothing, right? So help us understand, like, what's driving and what's that internal driver that you're talking about to help you do all this art that you're doing is beautiful for these people.
I say that internally, the drive is simply like, okay, we all ideal reality to be in life, where you want to be, and you might daydream, might fantasize, and say, okay, I'm supposed to be here, or my community or my friends are here, and that's where I want to be. That dream, you know. And but then I realized, like, you get to that point when you do reach that dream, still other places to go. There's no such thing as like the fulfillment is in the journey, and for me it's all about personal growth and not getting, just going and being like, wow, this is what I've learned, this is where I am right now, what I can accomplish next time. For me, my personal passion is internal ed. Like, I've seen so much, literally 6 different continents, 6 countries in Africa. As a non-famous person who's like, I backpacked in my early 20s through Africa, South America, and I lived in Israel for essentially. And through all of these, I met so many really cool people, so many life-changing experiences, things which, you know, like stayed with me. That even when I came back to the States, I'm like, okay, I have to use these experiences for good. I have to use these experiences for something. That's really what stayed with me. Like watching, oh my goodness, like hearing a story about an immigrant who like crossed the Sahara in a car with 7 people and a goat, you know, and listening to him talk about like him making it to Europe and actually being able to like live and survive and feed his family and send money back home and like not just seeing it on television, but talking to someone like that who's grateful for everything, you know, like who is not necessarily even like materialistic, but just happy for the simple things because of the hardships. They didn't like, I didn't read this. They literally were in a car with 6 or 7 people and a goat. And then they crossed the Sahara, an immigrant boat to get to Europe. Like burning oil derricks in the middle of the Atlantic as you sit out and you look at like the Nigerian coastline. Like I've done a lot of wild things and I'm just like, wow, I use these experiences for positive, and that's what I want to show in my art, you know, like very I just want to connect people, and that's the real passion. And I say that for other people trying to find that passion for themselves. It's just like you have an idea of what, get up, take that first. You have a job you don't like. Okay, we all have jobs that we got to pay rent. I got to pay rent. You got to pay rent. But there's hours in the day. There's 8 hours at work. There's 10 hours at work. There's 12 hours at work. Budget minutes to 1 hour and really want to do, just even if it's a little, even if it's like 5 or 6 emails, send out those damn, you know, just do that. At least you feel better. Like, yeah, you know, I didn't do anything, but I sent out those emails. I didn't do, but I still, at least I reached out. I didn't know, I didn't like start school, but at least I signed up for the class. You know, like I haven't, you want to make a step in the right direction, because that little step in any direction you take, you never know where it's going to lead, and it just keeps going on and going and going. And it's what I'm like, you do something that out unexpected, and you just keep going and going. Truthfully.
That's good. You know, and what that brings us to is, you know, there's a lot of people in 2020 right now, you know, everybody wants to write their own book. You know, everybody has a book, or everybody wants to have a book, or someone's criticizing a book and they only have one. They haven't even started with the first sentence, right? Well, you're amazing. You have a beautiful book. It's from an amazing journey. You spent 3 years in the Holy Land and Israel, and I believe your book's called Brothers Don't Travel. Is that about right?
Brothers Don't Travel, yes. That is exactly right.
Beautiful name. You guys can find the book on Amazon and also on Kindle. So make sure you drop by and get a hold of it. I know I'm getting mine today. I'm going to dive deep. I'm really excited. But anyways, how did you get there?
Thank you.
And tell us about this magical book you have.
Well, as far as getting to Israel, I'm originally from Cameroon, which is like Central Africa. But I was born in Republic, the country next door. So I'm going to just run. If you don't know where Cameroon is, you look at Africa and you look at the center and you move over just a little bit. It's the one which kind of fits in nicely where it goes, you know, and that's Cameroon. And I came to the States when I was 8 years old. Actually, what happened was I grew up here in the States in Chicago, for the most part, in the south suburbs of Chicago, neighborhood called Frankfurt, which is quiet, so quiet. Like they part of Road to Perdition, in Peatone, which is the next neighborhood. But there's it's cornfields and golf courses and horses, and I'm giving you an idea of like, you know, I still consider myself a Chicagoan because I went to Chicago, but this is about 30-40 minutes of the city, so you're not seeing anything of diversity, or you're not seeing nature, or I mean, you're seeing nature, but you're not seeing anything as far as like rah city life. This is like, okay, it's beautiful. It's a very beautiful, green, lush place. And then that was one of my realities. And it was when I went home back to Cameroon with my family in summers, and I'm in the middle of the jungle, like joking, like I know I'm in the middle of the jungle next, and I walk through the streets. City called Boya, Cameroon is Mount Cameroon is located. It's the biggest active volcano in West Africa. And this was my reality. So I had Chicago, then I had that. Chicago, and then that. These really different worlds, you know, completely, you know, both small towns, but small town or Frankfurt, both small town-ish worlds, different different realities. And then I didn't meet one of my trips back, my cousin, who was living in Israel, and been going forth Cameroon, Chicago. Like, this is like me not necessarily knowing New York. I don't know anything else about other places in America. Okay, I'm giving you this reality. Like, I know this part of Chicago, like, this is how insular the community was. This part of Chicago, and I know Cameroon. Okay, and I may now and then you stop off in Paris. You know, you stop off in Paris to do a layover, and that's like that was reality up in 17, 18. And then I met Mike on one of these trips, and he was living in Haifa, a city in the north of Israel, and he told me, like, hey man, you should come as a guard up the Damel mountain. And if people have been to Israel, what I'm talking about, if you haven't, then it's a tourist attraction for gardens. There are these huge $11 million gardens in the middle of where it's like completely beautiful at the top of this mountain. If you see it, you'll be like, this is where he was a guard. So I came back to the States, finished college. I went to Columbia College in Chicago. I went out there, and my very first night, I will never forget this, working as a guard. But I'm so excited. I don't know anything about in a place where I don't know anything. Like, I don't know anything. This is, oh my God, this. I'm here. I'm in this environment. Look at these people. It's like everything is so new and different. And then I go to these gardens, and we're sitting at the very top of these stairs. And if you I want you to Google the High Gardens, Bahai Gardens, High Gardens, and you look at that, and you see these gardens at the top of the stairs, and there's a huge, see the Mediterranean Ocean at the bottom, and then they have like Japanese boats in the harbor, and they had like fireworks going off, and I'm just like, yo, this is
Hey, tell us your ultimate goal. Creating film and studio.
Well, I'm creating film already, but to be do a studio film, like do a bigger film. That's my ultimate goal. I work towards I'd say step. The first step is to do a big studio film, and like creating content and putting things out there on the internet in order to get to that point. And that is the first step in my list of goals. And I just keep pushing and fighting towards that. And just to be like a good representative of what I'd say, like what this new generation of African immigrants is, because we have this whole movement of like Afrobeat just taking over music, and you have Burna Boy, and you have all like the first wave of like these artists, and like African culture is like becoming a little bit more mainstream now. And I just want to add to that and show like differences, because we're not Nigerians, and we have our own culture. It's French. Half of it is French. Half more akin to, like, I'd say almost more like Native American culture. And it's just what I want to show to the world. And just like, like, oh yeah, Cameroon, I've heard of that. I know this one guy. I've seen his stuff. That's what I want to get to, that where it's like, oh, we're not just like, yeah, Africa, right? I get it, stomachs and flies, that's all you think.
Yeah, I think this would be good for folks to hear, because I noticed, I mean, looking at your page, you're not short on content, right? There's a lot of content there. So for folks that are new and they're branching out as an artist, whether it's music or film or whatever it may be, how do you get to that point, right, of putting out just so much content? Because especially a newer artist, they might hit a roadblock. It's stuck. Well, I've given all I have to give, which isn't true. But I guess the greatest way to put it is, what was that turning point for you of, okay, I'm just starting out, I'm getting my feet wet, I'm figuring out, and then just get going, beast mode, all right, I'm just going to start doing this?
No, as far as creating content, I would just say that the easiest way to go about doing it is to do it. In my personal experiences, I have a lot of stuff to dive into, and I think that as long as you're honest, the content will come. You just have to be honest with who you are and not try to match trends or anything. I'm fortunate enough to be a very unique person because of my background, but someone who has a little bit more of the mainstream background, you just have to be unique to your situation, because we all have things in our lives which make us different. And, you know, you just can't look at what anyone else is doing. And you want to sing, then write your own songs, then tell your own stories, then put it out there. And this, it's not a competition as far as how much content you put out there. I just got to a point where it's like, I got so much to say and I need to get this out, you know? So it's me personally. I don't even feel like I'll ever have a point where I'm like, oh, I got nothing. Because like sometimes it's like I realize like I put out content and I don't explain what it is, and it's like, oh my goodness, I have to simplify it for people who don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Because I put out a lot of things where I might make a video and just like put an African word or a word in Lingala, or a word in Sango, or something, or a phrase in French. And then I go about making a video, but I didn't explain exactly what that phrase was. And then I realized, oh, go back and explain, because people don't know what you know, and things like that, you know? So I feel like I'm fortunate in that. But for other people, depending on what content you put out, I think it's a great time in the history of mankind right now, where we're able to make these connections to people we would have met, or if we met in passing, we wouldn't be in a place like this, where I'm in the middle of Brooklyn, or in Florida, and we're having a conversation about art and life, and we can connect like off of him watching a video which I did about like Christians and Muslims marrying. I'm not religious in any respect, but it was just like it connected, and you never know what's going to connect with people, you know, because I thought it would be something else, but it was that. And you know, that's what I'm saying, like just express who you and experiences you've had, and things will work themselves out. I had dated a Muslim girl before, and I put that out there. I had dated a Jewish girl before, and I put that out there. And it was just like I put these out there to express who I am, my experiences in the past. And hey, wrong, bad, whatever, je suis là. I'm here. I'm there, you know?
That's it, man. You gotta be yourself. I love it, man. You're such an inspiration. I wish I had other words for it right now.
Grace.
Best director in the game. That's right.
Oh man.
Thank you.
How long you been snapping shots? Putting it on film?
5-6 years.
Wow.
But the thing is,
powerful.
But the thing is, like, even before technology became accessible, there were points where, even when I was young, I would play with a camcorder and like make little videos, but I didn't like do it seriously until later. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I was really into it back then too. Found out recently, I had an uncle who actually worked as a news reporter back in Cameroon. And my cousin was telling me that he always would have his camera and he'd always go around just filming stuff. So I'm like, it could be something in the genes. Might have skipped around, you know? It's actually ruined my dating life a little bit, because sometimes I'm like, I want to take my camera out and it's like, oh man, I really want to, like, I know we're having this conversation here, but I really want to go over there because that looks amazing. And you know, I just think like, or it's like I would get down on the ground with my camera to take the perfect shot, and it's like, I know I might dirty my clothes, but this is just too important to me. You know, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, it's a gift and a curse.
You could do a show about, like, you know, your photography passion and dating at the same time.
Yeah, like, hold on. Are you going to eat that salad? Give me one moment. Just let me do, like, a really quick pan across, and then, like, okay, now we're good. All right, now you can eat. Like, that kind of thing. Yeah, that would be like, yeah, so this is totally done. This date is over.
Hey, tell me about that time you met that one French actor. That was beautiful. Yeah.
This past summer, I was filming a project which I hope to release in 2021. It's called Nature Boy. Nature Boy is a film about a lot based on my story, but I tried to make it open to a lot of the immigrants who I knew growing up in Chicago. It's about a kid from it's about an African kid who grows up in African American Chicago, and the
Mm-hmm.
nuances of culture and the nuances of dealing with that world. Not necessarily knowing what's cool, not necessarily being cool, not necessarily having the right vernacular. You don't speak the same way other people do. You know, quote unquote, not being black enough or being different, quote unquote. You know, so always being the other, and it's just about that reality. I was filming it with a very miniature cast. This is like a micro budget film. There was about 20 people in the cast, and we're just grinding it out using all the money I saved up to make this film. Because all my projects, I save up money. I don't like to work with investors because hey, if it makes something, it's on me and it's mine to
Yeah.
reap, not anyone else's. So I filmed this film and I'm on Instagram and I see this French actor who's called Saeed Tagmaoui. He was in La Haine, which is called The Hate. It's a French film and it was a very powerful film. And I reached out to him and I'm just like, hey, my name is Ken Ngwa. I'm a filmmaker. I live in Chicago. I saw La Haine a long time ago. I saw that you had won at Cannes. You're an inspiration because they made that movie completely in the French ghetto. And the film is about an Arab kid, a Jewish kid, and a black
Mm-hmm.
African kid growing up in their hardships in their neighborhood. And so I told him how it was an inspiration to me because I took some things from that movie and I utilized them in my own film, not verbatim scenes, but I mean just the style. I tried to go for a lot of that. And when you see Nature Boy, you'll be like,
Yeah.
okay, this was inspired by Laine. There's nothing wrong with that because that film is a classic French cinema. It opened the door to the reality of the youth, and I hope this opens the door to the reality of the immigrant youth. Um, so I reached out to him and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in Chicago. Um, you can come by the hotel and meet me." So I'm like, "Okay, cool. This is amazing." I'm like, "Absolutely." Mind you, I spent all my money on filming, and I had $30, which I had borrowed from my brother, my younger brother, in order to go and like sit down and like, because he was like, yeah, maybe we can have breakfast. And I'm in my mind, I'm thinking like, damn, I can't even afford to have breakfast with this guy because on set I've bought like all these prepackaged meals and we have all that ready, and I have like okay, and as far as like gas, I have enough gas in the car to get me back and forth and get everything done, finish shooting, and then I can like start working again and build my money back up because we're almost done with the film. So anyway, I'm like, I borrow this $30. I go downtown Chicago to his hotel, lovely hotel. Um, and then I'm looking around like, man, what am I doing here? Like, oh my goodness, like if we have breakfast, I'm just thinking like if it's expensive and all I have is $30. Oh my God, I don't want to make it. I don't want to be like that guy, like sitting here with this like literally guy who had won at Cannes Film Festival, and I'm just like this poor dude who's like, because I have a thing about meeting famous people, especially when you're a guy. It's not like, come on, who are we? Like when it's women, it's different. But when you're a guy, you're meeting someone famous, it's like there's this like connotation of like it's just a dude. You know what I mean? Like who's this dude hanging out with another dude? But pretty much like so I get to the hotel and I'm waiting in the lobby thinking like what am I gonna say? Because I want to meet this guy, but I don't want to come off like some kind of male groupie, like And then he comes out, he says hello, give me a second. Out of nowhere, you have this beautiful Italian woman, beautiful Spanish woman, and they just come like because they're staying in the same hotel and like, oh my God, Saeed Tagmaoui, and they just go up to him and they're just like talking and they're having this whole conversation. And now all of a sudden I'm the guy standing over there in the corner like, damn. I just like this is exactly what I didn't like want to happen. I'm just like the guy like, who came here looking like a male group. I'm like, oh man, I think I need to walk away. Like, but literally a minute later, he stops. He comes back. He's like, listen, hold on a second. He gets a table. We sit there and we're having breakfast. And then he like asks me about myself, what I'm doing in cinema. And then he tells me like two important things. One important thing which was very important. He told me one important thing which was very special to me, and I still use it as a battery. He was like, in order to succeed, um, there's two ways. Some people have the elevator, and other people have the stairs.
Mm.
Then he said that if you don't have the luxury of the elevator, you take the stairs. And then he was like, you should take our meeting as a sign from God that you are on the right path.
Amazing. Wow.
Then he showed me a check for $5 million, which he had gotten like the night before because he managed fighters in Chicago. And he was like, don't stop. And literally all of that whole interaction was just like, I was so supercharged. I went back on set like 4 hours later. I was like, okay, let's make this thing happen. Let's make a film, you know. And that I don't, it might have meant anything to him, but it spoke volumes to me, and it helped drive me and motivate me. And it was just like the fire, not even the money, just the whole conversation. It was just like, all right, I am moving in the right direction. Because as you move into your path and who you are, you're going to have these flagpoles which pop up just like that, those little batteries where it's like, am I going in the right direction? Something's going to happen. You're going to see a sign. You're going to see something on the street, and you're going to be like, okay, yep, I'm going the right way. Any little thing, you might call it kismet or what. When that happens to you, you know you're moving in the right path. And when that happened, that was me like, okay, I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be doing this. And then he paid for breakfast, so that was even better, you know.
Yeah, he did. That's a great story.
My God, man, you got so many things to share, and we want to hear more. What type of things that we might hear? Because I believe that you and we said, hey, let's do a part 2. Because
yes.
I knew that when we sit down with Ken, that we really want to hear more from you, and we just kind of hit like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to learning more about you and your success and the things that you have to offer. So tell us some things that we could hear from you next Sunday at 1 p.m.
Next Sunday, 1 p.m., I actually will connect using my my personal rather than my professional Sun People Productions, because I have a lot more people who are like invested in me personally on that one. And
okay.
And I honestly wanted, like, I've talked about the positives, but I do want to also talk about some of the negatives of traveling.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The I say crazier stories which I've encountered, stories about Jerusalem, which I have a lot of stories about Jerusalem which I could share. As far as from this podcast, a lot of positive things, a lot of negative things, and just culturally interesting things which I encountered in the Holy Land, which I think that your viewers might actually be interested in knowing about. And like the story I told about the guy going through the desert with 7 other people and a goat in a car, that actually, I met that guy in Israel. So I think that I have a lot more interesting stories from, and it's actually a story from my book too.
I'm excited.
Brothers don't travel.
Brothers don't travel, but we write books.
Man,
books.
man.
That's
all right.
true.
For everyone that's listening, where can they find you?
Drop a plug. Tell them where they can find you.
You can find me at Ken Ngwa on Instagram. It's KenNGWA Instagram, or Sun People Productions on Instagram. If not that, I have a very unique name, so just look up Ken Ngwa anywhere online, and I'm probably there. But Instagram, ideally, is my main form. It's KenNgwa.com, but Instagram is like my main form of art and communication. And it's Ken NGWA. Think NWA, but NGWA. Yeah.
Woo!
Mic drop.
Can't wait for part 2.
Market
Want to hear some struggles with traveling? There it goes. Times in Israel. Well, everyone that's watching, make sure you stop by. If you're watching on the show right now, we got our website up.
Plugspodcast.com. We'll also have Ken's information on there if you guys want to check him out because you didn't hear the spelling or you don't remember. It'll be right on the website for you. So click, and you can follow him and keep engaged with all his content. I'm telling you guys, it's never ending. He's constantly putting new stuff out. So stay tuned.
And I want to
Ken,
thank you guys so much. Thank you for this opportunity and Plugs Podcast. I got a chance to check out some of your material before this, and the positivity you put out there speaks volumes. And you gentlemen, don't stop, never stop, keep going. Things just snowball, you know.
Thank you for that.
Thank you,
The
Ken.
truth, man. Avante. It's how you say it in Portuguese. Forward, move, we keep going.
Avanji. It's a new word. Avanji.
Avante.
Avante.
Avanji.
Yeah.
Hey, we might have some lessons on here speaking new languages.
Yeah.
Let me know if you guys want.
Hey, why not?
Enjoy Memorial Day weekend, brother.
You as well. You as well. Thank you, Marshall. I'll talk to you guys later. Pleasure meeting. Ayo.
Weekend.
Peace.